Thank you, Manish sir, for that eye-opening session. Our next session will focus on how we can supercharge learning by empowering young minds through play and projects. It is my pleasure to introduce Simon Jacob, co-founder of Fyule, who will take us through innovative approaches that combine learning with play to create a more engaging and effective educational experience. Mr. Simon, the stage is yours.
All of you, and a lovely presentation by Manish sir. It was just like a really engaging session, kept us all hooked. So I'll give a quick background to myself. So I am the traditional engineer. I was a studious student in school. Then I went on to do my MBA from IIM Kozhikode. I became a banker with HSBC. This was a middle-class dream. My mother was an English teacher. And the only reason she became a teacher was that she wanted me to go to the best school in Baroda, and for a teacher's child, the fees was free, and therefore, that's her teaching journey. I was lucky to have studied in Bhavan's Public School in Baroda, and that's where all my formative years were spent at a great time. But the middle-class dream for my parents broke when I decided to quit HSBC, and I ended up founding an ad agency with no background in ads, and I created a company called The Bucket List. So for 10 years, we did television commercials, print ads, a lot of experiential events. And then an itch came. My first daughter, Sophie, was born in 2011. And it was 6 years later, then I became a teacher. So today it's been 13 years since I've been teaching. I don't have a B.Ed degree, but what I do have is a BGA degree, which is a bachelor's in Gen Alpha. And what I'm going to present today is some ideas for the educators in the room on how to deal with the Gen Alpha students whom you deal with on a regular basis. So everyone knows this, that children love video games. So my older daughter, who's 13, switches video games every week. So she plays some video game or the other. And I realized that for teachers to align to what they do would make a lot of sense. It's very difficult to keep track of what these games are. But what I learned as I played with them is that these games are awesome. There's a lot of strategy, there's a lot of critical thinking which happens, and that's something which could be done. Now, my mother didn't allow me to play video games, and I used to cycle 5 kilometers to play Atari video game at my friend's place. And that's how kids are today. My phone's password is not known, but my wife's password is known. They'll type it, they'll figure out a game, they'll enjoy what they do. So this is one key takeaway. The second is they love watching and creating videos. I mean, all of us do. Now, a lot of times when I meet parents in schools, they say that mobile addiction, we don't want to show kids videos, etc. The fact is, when my mother said no Atari video games, I would go home to both my parents reading newspapers and books. Our children come home to us being on WhatsApp, Instagram, depending upon the family you are in. So therefore, the parents are the role models and they are the behavior which kids mirror. Now, how many in this room have heard about Skibidi Toilet? 1, 2, awesome. So there are around 5-6 people who know Skibidi Toilet, and that shows the level of awareness of what the Gen Alpha watches. And I'm just going to play this video just for fun, because this is exactly what happens in my home. So both my children have a different vocabulary. Half the things I don't understand, but I'm curious. I go and check what they do.
What the heck is going on you?
Skibbity dum dum dum, yes yes. Skibbity dum dum deep deep. Skibbity dum dum dum, yes yes. Skibbity dum dum deep deep.
What the heck is going on you?
Skibbity dum dum dum, yes yes. Skibbity dum dum deep deep. Skibbity dum dum dum, yes yes. Skibbity.
So I know it looks bizarre, but they talk about it for hours. And that's what it is. So if your lesson plans has Skibidi Toilet in the lesson plan, you'll see them dig into that content a lot more. And this has been my realization of having made so many campaigns for brands, is that finally it's your consumer. The kids are Gen Z, and therefore you need to talk the language. So today when I look at a lot of curriculum content which hits the kids, they are boring, they're not at all interesting, but they are animated for sure, and it seems that we are playing videos, but that's not the video they watch. This is the video they watch. Sorry. Now the last bit is personalization. So we live in a world of choices today that just to book a taxi, I have 5 apps. From Zomato, I have 1,000 restaurants to order from. So both my children in the morning itself, it's a struggle. Earlier for my mom, it was easy that the tiffin box will have the same thing for both the children. But now, one will demand something, the other will demand something else. And that's the world that we are living in. So what I did in the year 2020 is that I got a lot of time to spend with my children. It was the pandemic, there were no launches happening for brands. And that's when I spent a lot of time and I observed kids, just like Manish sir talked about having them to become enjoying, engage, unko maza aa raha hai, all of these things which I watched. Now one of the first things I saw is that 6 kids on my floor would keep coming to my house and they taught each other how to wave board. So there was a wave board lying there and they taught each other how to wave board. And the next thing which happened is my younger daughter came and asked me, I want to make a video out of it. So I taught them how to make a video, how to use a tripod, how to do these things. And the end result was these 6 kids kept making films, a lot of small things around it, and it became really engaging as an experience. So it opened up my mind that the Gen Alpha loves videos, and what can we do as a country where if this is what they love, how can we make it relevant? So what I ended up creating is a company called Fyule, which focuses on supercharging learning through play and projects. So I'll just show you a quick video.
Sphinx, as you can see, has a face of a human.
When a honeybee sits on a flower for collecting nectar,
This was the chemical reaction between vinegar and baking soda.
And lithosphere forms the outer layer of Earth.
खूब लड़ी मर्दानी थी जो झांसी की रानी.
Voila! Our delicious, fruitilicious berry blast is ready!
So what I realized is that children love making videos, and if we can align the curriculum, the projects around videos, it could be an interesting way, and that's what you saw. So we ended up creating a curriculum which makes them learn different aspects of video creation, scripting, voiceovers, vlogging, animation. So take a look at how a class happens. Now this is something which we help schools set up. It's a very simple, low-cost video lab which consists of green screen, mobile phone, so on and so forth. And children watch content like these. It is relatable to them.
Before you record a voiceover, you need to warm up your body, facial expressions, and voice. Loosen up your body. Stretch your neck and shoulders. Round and round. Okay, now let's shake it out. Shake, 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 shake. Loosen up your shoulders. Get weird.
So these are again things which are relatable to them, so do it along. Now I'll show you a last video which is on how the class happens.
let's use this. Very interesting for us. Let's do it.
So with just 5 mobile phones, the children are having a ball in class. So they make a lot of projects, take ownership of their learning. So last and final thing which is on stop motion animation. So just take a quick look.
You look hair fact.
Get ready, we will go to Egypt. What is special about you? Let us see the okay, go. Do you have dimension mirror? Let's go. What is special about you? Okay, go.
So if you see, we've aligned to what they love, and balanced diet, nutrition is what we are trying to teach them, and the child has interpreted it in her own way, and she's just in grade 5. And that's what we did. So we work with around 100 schools now, predominantly in the south, through this method of learning. Now, as we worked with schools, my concluding remarks is on what we learned with schools as they worked with us. So if I can have the screen. So what we started to do was, with the same set of schools, they kept telling me that they want to engage the child. So now this is Ria, my younger daughter. She got 2.5 marks out of 40 in her Hindi exam. The irony is my mother-in-law is a Hindi teacher and was a principal for 35 years. She stays with us and every day tries to make Ria study. And the moment she gets Ria to study, Ria does gymnastics, goes from one room to the other, and nothing happens. And the end result was this. And I kept thinking about it, that how do I make her study? Because my mother would say in Malayalam, Kuttirunu Padichonam, and that means that I'll sit and I'll study. There's nothing else which I need to do. With Ria, none of it worked, right? And I discovered that this is what was happening, where we are constantly pushing her to fit into the system. And the answer lies in play, that this is how she learns math. I told her, find cylinders in the house. She went, got all the dabbas in the home, made it into a tower, and she said, there's a leaning tower of Pisa and it's going to fall down. And then she talked about a lot of things. So as this was happening, the answer I realized was to gamify. Duolingo is the reason she passed her end-term exam. And that's when I realized that this is so cool. If we can make a game which all schools can co-create and do something interesting, that would be great. So that is what we created. So this is called Captain Kuro. He comes from a planet called Kurosa. There is a nemesis called Kuzar. And what the children are doing with Kuro are a series of quests. So they come together and they get a quest. At the back end is voice and choice for a student. So therefore, they are going on a Jungle Book quest. And this is how the game happens. So they read a question, they answer, there is some encouragement which goes on, and they learn points. So this is how we've created the system. So we have a stall, would love if all of you can come and experience it. So I'll just end with this quote, that there are 3 kinds of people: those who are immovable, those who are movable, and those who move. Now we are in that category which wants to help teachers move and not just talk, because I've attended a lot of conferences where there are a lot of ideas shared. We are the ones who make it happen. And what we focus on is competency-based education, where the child masters a concept through gamification and expresses what they have understood through video projects. Thanks a lot for your time. And let's all hope that there's a teacher at home which takes Ria above. Thank you.